online friends, I apologize, I forgot to record. But what I was talking about with my friends here is the distributive property. And the distributive property is when you take a big amount and you distribute it, or you split it. And so what we did is we had a big shape, and it was a 4 by 7. We don't have our 4s memorized yet, or our 7s. So instead of trying to multiply that and work really hard at that, we distributed it, or we broke it into smaller pieces, and I want to show you what that means. We went ahead and we said, hey, we don't have our 4s memorized, but we do have our 2s memorized. So we cut our shape there and shaded just a 2 by 7 area. We said, you know what? 2 times 7 is 14. So that top purple part is going to be 14 square units. Then we did the same with the bottom. Our blue was 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that 2 by 7 was also 14 square units. So my friends right now are talking about, goodness, if I know a top part and a bottom part, how can I use those totals? How can I use them to find my total area? Pause your screen to think about that and press play when you're ready to hear what my friends think, okay? Tootsie Roll! I want to hear from some brilliant mathematicians. What did you determine if we figured out this part of the shape and this part of the shape? How can I use those totals to figure out my area of my 4 by 7 shape? Gunnar, what do you think?
I didn't really get it, but I looked at the 14 and 14. 14 is 14 equals 28, so that's what I was guessing.
Yeah, I'm just going to take them and I'm going to put them together, and put together problems mean that we're going to
Plus.
add or plus, right? And so he's totally right. Gunnar, 14 plus 14 is what?
28.
28
Square
units. And remember, that is always our fancy label for area. If they ever ask you for area, your label gets to be square units. And that's a shortcut way to solve it. Great work, my friends. We're going to go ahead and try another activity here. You don't need to erase, but I need to erase. And you guys are going to need to pull out your math boards. My friends here, you're writing on desks today, so pull out your marker. And just seeing if we're ready to rock and roll. We're going to practice some area problems. The area of the rectangle is the number of square units that will fit inside of the rectangle. So we are going to write multiplication equations to represent the area of each rectangle. Then we're going to go ahead and use that distributive property to shade just split up or distributive chunks and write a multiplication for that. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
So if I look at just this very first rectangle, numero uno. First, they want a multiplication. Now, very similar to an array, this is a what by what? Think it in your brain and raise your hand if you've got the answer. So what by what?
3 times 5.
I am hearing from some friends, but right now I just want to think it in your brain and use your GTA if you know the answer. Kevin. It is a 5 by 3. So if I need to write a multiplication equation to solve it, I can say 5 times 3 equals,
15. 18.
oh, let's try. 5, 10, 15. What equals 15?
Square unit.
Very good. Square units. Now, they did want me, oh, you can't see what I just wrote there. They did want me to go ahead then and split this into 2 chunks. So what's another type of fact that we know really, really well?
3 times 5. 5 times
1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? Which other facts do we have memorized?
5.
We have our 5s, but that's the whole thing. So let's do Braylon.
3.
We don't really have our, well, we do actually, because the jingles, huh? So let's go ahead and do that. Let's shade. I'm just going to shade the top 3 rows. Let's practice that jingle quick. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, and we're done. So what I have is I am going to use these special marks. But they look like hug marks. They hug groups of numbers. But they're actually called parentheses. What do we call them?
Parentheses.
So here's what I want you guys to put on your desks. Are you ready?
Yes, we are.
Please put one group of parentheses and leave it empty space in the middle, plus another group of parentheses. Okay? One group of parentheses plus another group of parentheses. And I'm going to use two different colors just to kind of show you guys and help it connect with your brains, but you can just stick with your dry erase marker. Who can give me a multiplication expression to represent a what by what my purple shape is? Give me a multiplication expression to represent just the purple part of my shape. Riley? What multiplication would represent how many squares my purple part is?
3 and 6.
How many squares tall is my purple part?
3.
How many wide is it?
3.
Yep, so it's gonna be a 3 by 3. Very good. Put that in your first parenthesis chunk, ladies. In your first parenthesis chunk, we're representing the purple part, which is a 3 by 3.
Which equals 9.
Hendrix, what multiplication would represent my pink part? It's a 2 by 3. So in your second grouping, go ahead and put 2 times 3, and then double check that you put those hug marks or parentheses around each chunk. It's saying like, hey, this is a group, my purple group, which is 3 times 3. And this is a group, my pink group, which is 3 times 3. And then, what symbol was in between those two groups?
A plus.
A plus sign or an addition sign, because we've got to add those together to find my total. Now, I did hear some mathematicians doing that math really fast. You gotta go to the restroom. Go ahead and go speedy. Who can tell me what is 3 times 3? I'll look for GTA. What is 3 times 3 from the
6.
speedy mathematician with GTA? Aye, aye, aye. Braylon, thanks for your GTA. 3 times 3 is 9. Very good. So I can do 9 plus, what mathematician can use GTA to tell me what 2 times 3 is? Madison.
Now you need another. Here and another one up
2, 4,
right here.
6. Very good. That means that my total, 9 plus 6, equals, who's got it?
In the two front.
Who's got my answer? Kevin?
15.
15
Square feet.
square
Units.
units. Very good. Does anybody have questions about that first problem?
It took so long.
No?
And then
I'm going to give you a new set of rectangles and I'm going to shade them. And I want you to write the 2 equations for it this time, okay? So please erase.
Erase.
And this is going to be a bigger one. And I'm going to shade in the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. And I want you to write your equations to solve the area of this shape. So you're going to figure out the purple shape and the white shape. Best of luck. This will be online for you online friends. All right, hocus pocus.
Everybody focus.
Let's see how you did. So, your eyeballs are up here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark it up on the front part. So, I want you looking up here. Your markers are grouped. What information is going to go in my first set of parentheses? What do I need to put in here? Hendrix? It is 5 times 3. How did you get 5 times 3, Hendrix? What'd you do? Yeah, you counted there were 5 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 3 columns. Bingo, Hendrix got you guys a point. What do you say? Alright, Hendrix said, hey, that purple part is literally a 5 by 3. So are we done with the purple part? Yeah. Yep. You represented it down below. He's good to go. What do we need to represent now? River. Now we need to represent the white part, which you're saying is 4 by 3. Let's double check. Count with me, my friends. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Oh, bingo. It's a 4 by 3, so I represent that like this. Would you show me with your thumbs? Did you write your equation like this? A 5 by 3 plus a 4 by 3. I can tell about half of my friends are paying attention because they're showing me with their thumbs right now if they did this or not.
Mine was switched.
Great work, my friends. What's my next step? If I'm finding the area of this, what's the next step for finding the area of this shape? Keegan.
You solve the 5 times 3 and then you solve the 4 times
Okay, what is 5 times 3, Keegan?
15.
15. And then I'm going to drop down my plus sign because we need that guy. What is 4 times 3? 12. Very good. So Keegan was absolutely right. I solved those totals and I dropped them down along with my addition sign. Now what? Now it does have 2 numbers. How do I tell what the whole area, the space inside, for the space inside, we multiply, how do I find, we multiply this part, we multiply this part. How do I get the total area? What do I do now? This says 15 plus 12. Skylar, what do I do?
You find the answer?
I find the answer by adding those up, right? What'd you get, dude?
27.
27
Square units.
square units. If that's what you got, you crushed it. If you didn't, it's totally fine because this is day 1 and we are going to have plenty of practice. How are you guys feeling? Fist of 5. I started giving you some area problems right now, like, oh man, I need way more practice. This makes no sense. Like, it's starting to make sense, but I know that I need practice. Or like, this is clicking. I'm ready to roll. For those of you that are online, you don't see this, but I've got all kinds of numbers. I've got 0s, I've got 1s, I've got 3s, I've got 5s. It doesn't matter. We're all going to get practice, right? And even if you're at a 5 right now, you're going to be a great resource to help other people with their problems. And it's always good to practice. So, we are going to do that. Go ahead and erase. We are going to go ahead and we're going to represent multiplications by drawing our own. Now I've got 2 things that are very important. Thing numero uno. Our rectangles must be nice and neat. It's very important because if they're not nice and neat and they're not real rectangles, then we're not really finding true areas. Thing numero dos. Our squares must be nearly perfect. If our squares are not the same size, which we're not robots, so we're not absolutely perfect, but if they're not pretty close to perfect, then they're not real square units. So we've got to be very careful to have nice, neat rectangles, and our squares need to be similarly sized. Capiche? Let's go ahead and we're going to practice drawing some rectangles together. Our first one that we're going to practice drawing, let's see if I can get this to show for you.
You can just do
There it is. Numero cuatro. A 5 by 3. What are we drawing?
5 by 3.
I'm going to do this one along with you, and you're drawing it on your desk. So, go ahead and draw it whatever height you want. But then in your brain, picture that that's 5. So is 3 pretty close to 5 or way different than 5?
Pretty close.
Pretty close. So I'm thinking like a little over half. So this way, my 3 parts gotta be a little bit longer than half of that length, right? And then I connect it to make a nice, neat rectangle. Take your time to make sure it's nice and neat. Dax and Gunner, I need you drawing these also right now. Right now we're working on these, okay? Nice and neat. Now here's the tricky part. We need to draw our squares. And if I drew 5 lines, it actually ends up giving me 6 squares because I was already given a top and bottom line. So I always draw 1 less line, and that's the toughest part about all of this. I need you to draw 4 because it's a 5 by 3. So you're gonna draw 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. And if you're like me and you realize, whoops, that one's way too fat, go ahead and adjust your picture so that all of your rows are nice and even, so our squares will be nearly perfect like we talked about. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows because I drew how many lines? 4. You always draw 1 less. So because we need 5, we're going to draw 1, 2, 3, 4 lines and adjust your picture as needed. And always double check. Did you end up with enough column or enough rows? Because you can add 1, or you can drop 1, or you can change the size.
It looks like stairs.
Now it is a 5 by 3. So if I always draw 1 less, instead of drawing 3 lines, I'm going to draw
2.
So make sure that they're spaced. 1, 2, and double check, you've got 3 going across. Would you show me with your thumbs when you have your shape showing a 5 by 3, when you're ready to move on? Because if you did an extra line, you're just going to erase that extra edge and make sure that they're all nice and neat, or if you have extra space or not enough, you're going to add on to it. Make sure that your rectangle is nice and neat and nearly perfect squares, okay? Give you a couple more seconds to wrap this up and see if almost everything's ready to go. Now they did tell me they wanted me to make the rectangle drawing and then give the product. So who can tell me, if I were asking you the area of that shape you just drew, which is a 5 by 3, what is the area of that rectangle? Who can tell me? Keegan.
So it equals 15 because all you have to do is count on your fingers. We learned our cards really good, so all we have to do is
5, 10, 15. Keegan crushed it. It is 15. Fancy label's gonna be
square unit.
15 square units. Nice work, my friends. Go ahead and erase.
Erase, erase, erase.
And we're gonna try the next one.
It's almost like one.
This next one is a 7 by 2. Online friends, I'm going to have you draw this on your slides for today. You guys are going to draw it on your desk, and then you're going to find how many square units it is, and then we're going to move on.